Well, I can't take all the credit. Wilbur noticed a lot of it. So me and Wilbur had a conversation today, and he's like, have you noticed X, X, and X? And I go, nope, I haven't, Wilbur. And I went and go and researched, and sure shit, Justin Cooper is on stock clamps. He is on stock engine mounts. He is on stock hubs, stock wheels, stock rear sprocket. Just a lot of stock pieces on his bike that normally are not stock. So I think the results show in Hangtown that he was more comfortable with his bike. And all of those things point to he needed more feel on the track. So maybe that was getting a little bit too rigid. And when you go to those, and people listen to this, when you go to aftermarket triple clamps, it makes it more fucking rigid. Just know that. I know they look cool, but you're going to feel less of the track in your front end. So just know that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get more feel from a billet clamp.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen teams do this before. Roxon rode stock clamps and GL, and it's not.
Factory Yamaha, when they had a team, they had stock clamps too.
Right. By the way, in your
So
Justin Cooper making some big changes.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to follow suit for the other riders or how long that'll last. Maybe East Coast Dirt will change that because I know these two rounds are kind of weird with square edges and hard packs, so maybe he was looking for more of a softer feel. So we'll keep tabs on it.
I have a question for you, though, Kiefer. You said he went to stock motor mounts, right?
Yeah.
So was he running a stiffer motor mount? Because usually the stock motor mount's stiffer.
No. I mean, usually when you go back to stock, you're going to have most likely, I shouldn't say that. Depends on the bike, Addy. So some stock bikes are softer than other ones, and some are stiff.
Yeah,
but
because
the
ones that I'm on are obviously stiffer than
Correct.
the ones that you can get. So on the Yamaha, they're actually softer than the ones that you get. They go stiffer, or maybe they have a plus or minus motor mount.
Well, then also, too, you got to think about the front engine hangers, and then you got the top hangers, right?
Absolutely.
Usually the front
Yep.
are stiffer, and then the tops are softer.
Yes, which the front one, though, clamps the frame down and actually makes your fork feel a little bit softer, correct?
Yeah, so I just tested some with Aiden on his bike the other day, and we went to Glen Helen, and we tested some stiffer tie fronts with a softer top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he said he could corner way better because he could feel his front end more.
Yep.
But what happens is when you do that, it makes the rear push the front end harder. So when you have
100%.
decel bump, then your ass end rides high. So it's a give and take. So you have to. I wrote a story about it. Every action, there's a reaction when you change your bike.
Yes.
So
100%.
you change one thing, you got to change something else to help that one change, right?
Okay.
So that's usually how that works.
So, and then you're saying stock sprocket. You don't actually physically mean a stock sprocket. You just mean stock gearing.
Stock, like a Sunstar stock sprocket.
Okay, so what's the benefit? Like. What's the benefit of that?
Just making the bike
material.
smoother? Oh.
Honestly, material. So
material on the hub.
Material on the sprocket.
Yeah, I know, but you're saying material on the sprocket that's clamping down the hub to make the wheel actually feel softer? Or do you, what's the point of the sprocket being softer with the chain?
So the steel sprocket, from what I heard today, was just a supply issue with their vendor.
Yes, I was about to say that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so that had nothing to do with bike setup.
No, I don't believe so. That was just like, hey, we can't get this tooth.
Right. So when you guys go to these A60 rims and then you guys use your billet hubs.
Dude, the A60 rims are so rigid.
Yeah, it's bad. So, but the Star teams don't use that. But when you go to a different hub, bump compliance goes down, but your bike can react quicker because you have a stiffer hub, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Again, I think he's just looking for feel on these West Coast tracks where you have some more bump absorption. You know?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I agree with that. That's why I asked about the sprocket, because I was wondering, what would that benefit set up? The only thing I could think of was, the clamping of it onto the hub might not be as rigid, which would put more flex through the wheel. But I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? That's where I was going with that. But obviously,
I'm usually a pretty transparent guy. Like those neck end clamps are very, very stiff. Yes. And they try to sell it like we have air mounts, so we have little shock absorbers sometimes on the mounts, and that does work. But you're still having that rigidity within the clamp, which is tough to try to take out.
Just because you have air on your hands and it doesn't feel that doesn't mean it's not strapped down to the fork. Like, that would make no sense. You know what I mean? You're just trying to – the air is just taking away from the hit and the vibration. It's not taking away from the setup.
It's like you bleeding and putting a Band-Aid on it. You're still bleeding. You just don't see it.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
All right.
But yeah, no, I think it's cool that Wilbur knows some of this shit, and he likes his job, and he loves the sport so much that he sees this kind of stuff. And usually I'm pretty good at that, but I didn't catch that, so that's pretty cool.
Tomac went to the Tomac went to the air fork for the second moto. I don't know if you heard that or not, Kiefer.
Yep, I did hear that.
Yeah. Well, it looked like it made a difference.